Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite fragrances for life. And I did limit it to niche fragrances. I'm very excited to tell you why. These are some of my 10 favorite fragrances for life, period. A tag video that was started by Bowtie Fragrance Guy. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this video, this tag video in which I was tagged by Bowtie Fragrance Guy Darian, I'm going to leave his channel's information down below. And the title of the video is 10 Fragrances for Life, period. I think this is a really cool idea, such a difficult list to compile. But before I get into the list, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. I would really appreciate it. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon too. So there's another channel here on YouTube. I absolutely love his videos. His name is Darian. I'm going to leave his information down below. He has a channel called Bowtie Fragrance Guy, and this has like one of the funniest intros I've seen. So I'm going to link the video in which he tags me down below. But it's a tag video called 10 Fragrances for Life. So no regard to designer or niche, but in this video, I did actually limit it to niche because I'm cheating a little bit. For me, I could have 100 fragrances for life or 200 fragrances for life. I just have so many fragrances in my collection, and I'm so passionate about fragrances that it's really hard to limit it to just 10, but I feel like I did a pretty good job here with my niche selections, albeit there are a lot of brands that got excluded from this list, but hopefully I'll do a part 2. I don't know, that kind of defeats the purpose of 10 for life if you do a part 2, right? But nevertheless, he has an awesome channel. Once again, information down below, and I'm also going to tag 2 other fragrance reviewers towards the end of this video, so make sure to stay tuned until the very end to see if you were one of the fragrance reviewers who got tagged. But in any case, let's just go ahead and dive into it. These are all very personal. I share a lot of really fond memories with these niche fragrances, and that's of course one of the reasons why these are my personal list fragrances. And let's go ahead and start off with the number 10. So number 10 is a fragrance that I personally worked on. I'm not the perfumer. The perfumer is Bertrand Duchaufour out of Paris, France. And this one is called the Absolute Deo. And I knew that if I were ever given the opportunity to become the creative director of a brand, I would want a gourmand fragrance, and he executed this one perfectly. This has a strong dose of cherry in the opening. There's almond, caramel, toffee, vanilla. It's such a beautiful, delicious fragrance. And I actually had the pleasure, of meeting him in person in February of 2020 when I flew to Paris, France. He even agreed to do an interview on my channel, which was incredible. I'll leave a card to that up here. And this is such an awesome fragrance. I am truly in love with it. And so it just shows how far I've come in this fragrance journey, if you will. So I'm going to put this in the number 10 spot. The number 9 fragrance, speaking of Bertrand Duchaufour, is also another fragrance that he's created, and this is my second bottle of it. I actually also have the original with the plastic cap, which is white. This one has a gold cap. So this is Jubilation XXV by Amouage. This is a beautiful Apopanax, slightly citrusy, honeyed, resinous, incensey type of a fragrance. It was a fragrance that was made to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the 25-year anniversary of the brand Amouage, and it's such an exotic, illustrious, spellbinding composition. Truly one of my favorites, that honeyed richness, the Apopanax, the incense, the sweetness. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance, really exquisite aroma. And of course, from the house of Amouage, I also love Interlude, and I also do like Interlude Black Iris. Reflection Man is one of my favorites as well. I also own Epic and Fate and Overture and many of their fragrances, but Jubilation is probably my favorite from the brand. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is one of my initial niche acquisitions. I've had this for so many years now. This is Green Irish Tweed by Creed. As a matter of fact, oh, I thought I wore everything. I was planning on spraying it and to show you that there's nothing left in here, but there might be like 1 ml or 2 mls left in here. But oh my God, just smelling it right now is amazing. So this is lemon, verbena, iris, just citrus, violet. It's a beautiful, gentlemanly, masculine fragrance. And I purchased this one so many years ago. It's really about time that I buy a new bottle. Yes, I have some inspirations of it that are holding me over for the time being, but such a gentlemanly, classy, and classic fragrance from the House of Creed, 1985 release, composed by Olivier Creed, Green Irish Tweed. Since we're on the topic of Creed, let's also discuss Aventus. Now, this is the fragrance that I wore on my wedding day. You guys know about this. I love this fragrance. The pineapple, the apple, the birch, black currant, vanilla, cedarwood, rose. It's such an incredible fragrance, very well polished. Also happens to be my most complimented niche fragrance of all time, maybe even my most complimented fragrance of all time, period, which would probably be another idea for a video down the line, right? But Creed Aventus, I've gone through so many bottles of this, very sentimental fragrance for me, and it's definitely a staple in my collection. And I think that that is evidenced by the fact that I have purchased 6 or 7 bottles throughout the course of my journey here on YouTube and my fragrance passion, if you will. The next fragrance is one that I certainly have to pay homage to, and that's because this is such a popular formula and it's been twisted and reinterpreted among many other brands so many times, but the original is a classic and I personally love it. This one by Xerjoff is called Erba Pura. And so this one is this fruity, passion fruit, citrusy, green sort of a fragrance, beautifully done by Chris Maurice, aka Christian Carbonell, from Barcelona, Spain. It's a beautiful fragrance. I am in love with this fragrance. And this is one that I initially smelled when it first came out, I believe, but I didn't actually have the opportunity to acquire my bottle until many years later. I'm so glad that I did, and I'm so glad that I have the 100 ml bottle because I do find myself wearing this one quite often. I know I have quite a vast collection, 2,000 bottles. It can be quite intimidating to find your scent of the day, but whenever I do feel the opportunity to wear this one and I'm in the mood to wear this one, I am not hesitant to pull this bottle out and really douse myself with it. The next fragrance I want to talk about is by Initio Parfums Privé, and this one is called Side Effect. Now, this is booze, rum, vanilla, tonka bean, cinnamon. It's smooth, it's creamy, it has the hedione molecule in there. It's very sensual, addictive, mysterious, sweet, gourmand, delightful, just all of the most amazing adjectives that you can think of to describe Side Effect. You got it. And so this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. And of course, it goes without saying that from the house of Initio, I also really like Absolute Aphrodisiac. I also like High Frequency, believe it or not. That's a very unique fragrance. I love Rehab. Oud for Greatness is also a classic, but Side Effect is probably my favorite, and I've been asked the question many times before, which is your favorite? With no regard towards a particular season, I would probably have to say Side Effect. Tobacco Vanille also hits very close to home for me. This is by Tom Ford, and it's also because this is probably among the first niche fragrances that I've always wanted to get, and I remember people talking about it online, and the hype was real on this one, and the hype is also quite justified. And I remember purchasing my first bottle of this, and actually my only bottle of this, many years ago, and just really feeling like I accomplished something. I know it sounds really silly to say, but you know, when you've had your eye or your nose on a particular fragrance for such a long time, and then you finally acquire it, it's kind of like this sense of accomplishment that overwhelms you. And so I really love having Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford, part of the Private Blend line. Incredible, incredible fragrance. And then here's another one that kind of goes back to 2012, if you will, or 2011. This was a fragrance that was mentioned in a video that was done by one of my favorite YouTubers at the time. His name is Miguel, and his channel is Hiro Yoruzuka. He actually disabled all videos on his channel, but he was actually the channel that got me into reviewing fragrances. And he had a video called My Perfected Starting Lineup. What I would give to watch that video again. But he actually mentions this fragrance in that video, and I was like, I gotta buy this fragrance, and I did. This one by Serge Lutens is called Chergui. I've had this bottle for so many years now. The liquid, the juice inside is so dark, and it's so strong. I actually wore this about 4 days ago or something like that. And just 4 sprays on the t-shirt lasted me all day. And I don't know if that's because I've had my bottle for such a long time, it's left to macerate for such a long time, but it's this dark hay, tobacco, smooth, slightly powdery type of a fragrance inspired by the desert air, the Moroccan desert air. It's such an incredible fragrance, one of my favorites of all time. The number 2 fragrance is Roja Parfum Creation E. So I actually have 3 bottles of this. I know I mentioned this on my channel before. I have the paper label version, which is almost empty. I have this one, and I also have the Parfum Cologne version. So among the 3, I wear this one a lot. And I personally really do like the Eau de Parfum Pour Homme version, which is the one that you see here. And this one is this boozy cognac, rich, spicy, resinous fragrance, perfect for the autumn and winter. But honestly, I love the smell of it so much that I wear it all year round. I have featured it on lists for the past few years on my channel, so it's no stranger to you at home, I'm sure, that it happens to be one of my favorite fragrances of all time. And again, you know, from this brand, I love Elysium, I like Scandal, I also love Diaghilev, Oceania, Amber Oud, A Midsummer Dream. There are just so many fragrances from the brand that I love. And so I suppose that that's the difficulty of compiling a list like this. You have to omit some fragrances. And then the number 1 spot, and these are not in any particular order, by the way, but the number 1 spot goes to a fragrance that, again, I smelled a few years ago. I acquired it last year. This one by the company Nishane, Istanbul, is called Hacivat. Now, this is a very sentimental fragrance to me for a number of different reasons. First of all, it's named after a shadow theater group, if you will, or animation called Hacivat and Karagöz. And it is something that was very popular and still is very popular in Greek culture that my grandfather introduced me to. He actually passed away last year in October. And so whenever I wear this, I think of him and just how much he contributed to, you know, me being raised here in the United States, because I actually, despite the fact that I was born here, I used to live in Greece for a number of years. And so this reminds me of him very much so. I love the smell. It is kind of similar to Creed's Aventus, but it's certainly smoky. It has a much different fruity appeal and citrusy appeal in the opening. And I also really enjoyed this one because I had the opportunity of meeting the perfumer Jorge Lee in Istanbul, Turkey, when I went in February of 2020. Just like I met Bertrand Duchaufour, I also met Jorge Lee, and he and I had the opportunity to discuss this fragrance. So it's symbolic in many ways for me. So these have been very personal fragrances for me. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you took something of value from this video. Darren, once again, I'm so sorry that I'm like over a month late in putting out this video, but February was a bit of a weird month for me, as I'm sure you know. So thank you so much for your patience. And also right now, I want to take the opportunity to tag 2 other fragrance reviewers who can hopefully put out their versions of this tag video. I'm going to tag Chris from the channel Casual Fragrances, a really good friend of mine. I'm going to leave his information down below as well. I'm also going to tag Matt from the channel Georgia Gent. And so I'm going to leave his information down below as well. Really great videos he's putting out. And so thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Once more, if you took something of value from this video, if you enjoyed this video and you're new to this channel, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. It would mean so much to me. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. Love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.